Hey, welcome back, everyone. You ever have one of those days where you wake up with a plan? You're going to get things done, move forward, make real progress, and then somehow the day just slips away? You tell yourself, I'll get to it tomorrow. But then tomorrow turns into next week, next month, and before you know it, that thing you meant to start is still sitting there, waiting. This happens to everyone. But for those of us transitioning from military or first responder careers, that hesitation can feel even heavier. Also, another hindrance to working in these careers is they provide an environment where someone else sets the mission, the schedule, the expectations. Your transition, though, now it's on you. And when there's no one looking over your shoulder, no immediate consequence for putting things off, it's easy to wait until you feel ready. But here's the truth. Motivation isn't coming to save you. If you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. The key to successful transition isn't some lightning bolt of inspiration. It's discipline, it's momentum, it's action. So with that, let's get into round 62 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is the discipline of motivation. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, replace motivation with momentum. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, the 5-minute rule. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you have at least a decade ahead of you. Develop a legacy project. Close range group. High pressure situations are nothing new to you. You didn't have the luxury of waiting until you felt like doing something. You didn't wait until you were motivated to respond to a call, step off on a mission, or just get the job done. You acted because it was your duty, because it needed to be done. And that's exactly the mindset you need to bring into your transition. But here's the problem. Without that structured environment, it's easy to hesitate. There's no leader giving you orders, no supervisor assigning your next task, no routine keeping your day in check. It's just you, your decisions, and the weight of what comes next. That's where a lot of people get stuck. They wait. They overthink. They say, I'll start looking when I feel ready. But the reality is, readiness doesn't come first. Action does. So how do you move from waiting to doing? Well, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they assume they'll know when it's time. They think there's going to be a moment where it all clicks into place, where they suddenly feel motivated, ready, and confident. But transition doesn't work like that. You're going to have days where you doubt yourself, where you second guess everything. And if you only take action on the days you feel motivated, you'll never get anywhere. Think of it this way. Move first, think later. Now that doesn't mean blindly rush into things. It means you stop letting hesitation hold you back. Start your job search before you feel ready. Even if you have no idea what you want to do next, start looking at options. Browse those job listings. Reach out to contacts. Update your resume. Apply for jobs even if you don't meet 100% of the qualifications. Remember how many times you were thrown into situations where you had to adapt? This is no different. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the first step. Rely on the power of routines. Structure replaces uncertainty. When you look back on your career, your day had structure. You knew when you had to report in. You knew when training was. You knew what your objectives were. You want that same structure, but just apply it to your transition. Because for a lot of people, a lack of structure creates a dangerous gap. Without a schedule, it's easy to drift. Before you know it, you've wasted days, weeks, even months waiting for something to click. Create your own structure, though. Set daily non-negotiables, small specific tasks that keep you on track. Whenever it is that your day starts, if you want to do this when you first wake up, great. Create a daily routine of early in your day. Apply to one job or reach out to one contact. In the afternoon or near the end of your day, spend 30 minutes learning a new skill, something that builds your future. Also, at some point during your day, whichever works best for you, exercise. Keep your body moving. Physical health plays a huge role in mental resilience. Fix a time that works best for you, but be consistent. Now, mind you, this isn't about packing your schedule. It's about keeping forward momentum. Even when motivation is low, your routine keeps you moving. What you're building is the snowball. We all know that the hardest part of anything is just getting started. Think about it. The hardest part of a workout is getting out of bed, if you're like me and prefer workouts in the morning, or changing out of your work clothes into your gym clothes if you're somebody who works out after you get home from work. The hardest part of a mission is stepping off. The hardest part of transition is that first step. But once you start, it gets easier. That's because small wins create momentum. Completing a task, no matter how minor, builds confidence, and confidence fuels action. Break your big goals into tiny steps. Instead of saying, I have to find a job, say, I'm going to update my resume today. Instead of build a network, say, make a connection with 2 people this week. Success doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, consistent actions. Like it or not, this is your grind. And you really do need to learn to love the grind. Because let's be real, job hunting sucks. It's frustrating, it's slow, and there's a lot of moving parts. But here's the mindset shift. It's a skill, just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get. In our careers, none of us mastered a skill overnight. You trained, you practiced, you got better. Treat job hunting the same way. Focus on applying to 5 jobs a week. The jobs might not be your perfect landing spot, but it's better to have less than perfect options than no options. Would you rather have 4 options that you could turn down or negotiate with than no options because you're waiting for that perfect job or position? Also, you should be attending 2 network events a month. Your transition is coming, and you need to get yourself known to as many people as possible. Another piece of advice is detach yourself from rejection. You won't get every job you apply for. That's fine. Each attempt makes you better. This isn't about luck. It's about consistency. And talking about rejection, expect setbacks, adapt and overcome. The process isn't easy. You're going to face rejection. You're going to have days where nothing seems to move forward. That's normal. That's part of the game. And the difference between those who succeed and those who get stuck is resilience. Don't take rejection personally. If you don't get a job, it doesn't mean you're not qualified. Just wasn't the right fit. Keep applying, keep networking, keep moving. The only way to fail is to stop trying. Look, waiting for motivation is a losing strategy. Motivation is like the weather. It changes. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days you won't want to do anything. But if you let those feelings dictate your actions, you'll never move forward. The key is momentum. Start small, stay consistent, keep pushing forward, even when you don't feel like it. Because transition success isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making every moment count. Veterans, first responders, and high performers. If you refuse to slow down, Human Performance TRT is built for you. Veteran-owned and operated, they understand what it means to push through. That's why they offer personalized hormone optimization, no locked-in contracts, and direct-to-door delivery. Visit hptrt.com today and use the code TDP for 30% off, because your performance isn't optional, it's necessary. Medium range group. If this is you, you're sitting about 5 years or so out from your transition. And I know how that feels. You've got time, and it's easy to think, I'll get serious about it when I'm closer. But that's where people get caught. Because 5 years isn't a long time. Ask anyone who's already made the jump, and they'll tell you. Transition sneaks up on you. One day you're fully in the fight, handling the missions, focused on the job. The next, you're staring at a separation date on the calendar, wondering, how the hell did it get here so fast? But the key to avoiding this, that last minute scramble, is simple. Start now. And I'm not talking about overhauling your life overnight. You don't need to dedicate hours every week to transition planning. You just need 5 minutes. That's what this strategy is all about. The 5-minute rule, it's small, it's simple, and it's powerful. And if you start using it now, you'll thank yourself later. 5 minutes is enough to break inertia. One of the biggest reasons people procrastinate on transition planning is that it feels overwhelming. It's a massive shift, one that affects your career, your identity, your financial stability. And when something feels that big, it's easy to avoid it. That's where the 5-minute rule comes in. It's a psychological trick that bypasses hesitation. Instead of saying, I need to plan my transition, you say, I'll spend just 5 minutes on this today. That's it. And why does this work? Because getting started is the hardest part. Once you're moving, momentum takes over. Set a 5-minute transition task each day. This could be updating one section of your resume, researching a single job listing, or reaching out to one person in your network. Stack it with your existing habits. Do it after your morning coffee, before your workout, or right after your shift ends. But remove the distractions. A focused 5 minutes is more effective than an hour of aimlessly scrolling job boards. 5 minutes today makes tomorrow easier. And 5 years from now, you'll be light years ahead of where you would have been otherwise. 5 minutes also future-proofs your path. Here's a common mistake. We wait until we're about to transition before we start thinking about what's next. The result, we scramble. We take the first available job instead of the right job. And then we often end up back at square one a few years later, realizing we should have done more research ahead of time. The solution? Make career exploration a habit, starting now. Dedicate 5 minutes daily to career research. Look at job postings. Read industry news. Dig into LinkedIn profiles of professionals in the field that interests you. Test your career interests early. If something intrigues you, consider a certification or an online course now rather than waiting until you need it. You don't need all the answers today. You just need to start looking. 5 minutes of personal branding. Most of us don't think about personal branding. And why would we? In these careers, our reputation is built on our actions, not some online profile. Well, for some. Their online profile is their reputation, but that's another show. But in the civilian world, visibility matters. Having a strong personal brand makes networking, job searching, and career moves easier. And here's the thing, building a personal brand isn't some major time-consuming effort. Spend 5 minutes refining your LinkedIn, add a skill, update your photo, write a strong headline that highlights your expertise. On a side note, get a quality photo for your LinkedIn, not in kit with your nods flipped up holding your M4. That's just my soapbox. Get something that looks professional for the civilian world. But also, showcase your expertise. Share insights. Comment on industry topics. Write a quality post with lessons that you've learned from your career. Start positioning yourself as a knowledge base for others to reach out to. Along those lines, though, be findable. Optimize your profile with keywords like military veteran, first responder, leadership, transition planning. Hell, go down the rabbit hole and learn about how to optimize your profile for recruiters or people looking for somebody like you. You need to make sure that people can find you when opportunities arise. Shift your mindset from service to success. This part is crucial. A lot of us unknowingly develop a loss mindset about transition. We focus on what we're leaving behind, the structure, camaraderie, the sense of purpose. And yeah, that is a real loss. But if you let that be your focus, transition becomes something you dread instead of something you prepare for. A transition-ready mindset flips that script. It focuses on growth, opportunity, and what's next. Spend 5 minutes a day reinforcing the right mindset. Read an article, visualize your success, or write down your accomplishments from your years of service. That'll translate to your next career. Surround yourself with success stories. Connect with former teammates or coworkers who have transitioned successfully and learn from their experiences. If you believe transition is an opportunity, you'll approach it proactively. If you see it as a burden, you'll avoid it until it's too late. The biggest mistake you can make in transition planning is waiting. The second biggest mistake, thinking it has to be a massive effort. It doesn't. The 5-minute rule ensures that transition prep isn't overwhelming. It keeps you moving without overloading you. And when the transition day arrives, you won't be scrambling. You won't be lost. You'll be ready. Because 5 minutes a day, starting now, will make the difference between a smooth, successful transition and a chaotic, rushed one. Are you tired of coffee that spikes your energy, then crashes you? Trident Coffee is different. Their cold brew is infused with MCT oil, lion's mane, and reishi mushrooms, which gives you steady energy, sharp focus, and brain-boosting benefits without the jitters. Plus, electrolytes fuel your recovery. They roast their beans to be optimized for cold brew, which means all their coffees taste amazing, not bitter. Brewed hot, over ice, or in your smoothie, Trident Coffee works however you do. Get yours at tridentcoffee.com and use the code TDP15 for 15% off. Long Range Group. Those of you who've got more than a decade out from your transition, it's easy to think, I've got time. And you do. But here's the thing. Time moves faster than you think. One day, you're fully in the fight, focused on the mission. The next, you're staring at retirement. Realizing that after years of being part of something bigger, that chapter is closing. So the question is, what are you building now that will carry you forward? That's where a legacy project comes in. This isn't about just having a backup plan. This is about creating something meaningful, something that grows with you so that when the time comes, you're not scrambling to figure out what's next. Play the long game. Start building today for a smoother tomorrow. Most veterans and first responders spend their careers focused on immediate objectives, the next mission, the next shift, the next assignment. That's what makes transitioning so jarring. It forces you to think long-term in a way you've never really had to before. The good news, though, if you start building something now, you won't be starting from zero when your transition arrives. Dedicate some time monthly, even a few hours a month, towards your legacy project adds up over the years. Treat it like a mission. Approach this with discipline and purpose. Have attention to detail. Don't just half-ass this. A decade or more seems far away until it's not. So start now. Choose a legacy that aligns with your strengths and your passion. Not everybody wants to start a business. Not everybody wants to write a book, and that's fine. Your legacy project should align with what you actually care about and what you're naturally good at. Because here's the reality. If you don't enjoy it, you won't stick with it. And if you don't stick with it, it won't be there for you when you need it. Determine what drives you. What parts of your job do you love? Is it the leadership? Is it teaching? Is it problem solving? Use those as the foundation. On the other hand, if you already happen to see maybe this career isn't the career for me, don't run away from that. Start looking at options and careers in completely different fields. Experiment early. Test ideas now. Volunteer, mentor. Start some type of small side project to see what resonates with you. Ask yourself, if I left tomorrow, what would I miss the most? That answer might point you towards the right legacy project. The key, though, isn't finding something impressive. It's finding something sustainable, something you'll want to build as you close in on your transition. But you want to build for impact, not just yourself. Your career isn't just about you. It's about the team, the mission, the community. And never forget it, it's about your family. Your legacy project should carry that same ethos. The best projects aren't just personal passion projects. They help people. They fill a gap. They create an impact. Look for those gaps. What's missing in your field? Here's something you could think about. Ask your boss, how can you make their job easier? How can you help them impress their boss? Not necessarily a gap is something for you or in your immediate assignment. Think about this. You'll always catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Don't always be out for yourself. If you want real success, think of others first. Think beyond the immediate. A true legacy isn't about short-term wins. It's about long-term contribution. Your career will give you experience, insight, and leadership. Your legacy project is how you pass that forward. Turn your experience into a scalable model. You'll accumulate knowledge and skills. Don't let that disappear when you transition. A scalable model allows you to share your expertise with more people, whether it's through coaching, online courses, a podcast, or a structured mentorship program. Knowledge is a powerful tool. You'd be surprised how you can take what you know and learn and make it into a thriving next career. So start now and position yourself to experience and learn the most you can. Document your knowledge. Start writing down lessons learned, best practices, or insights that others can benefit from. If it was me and I was to start my career over again, I would journal every day. Think about what you did right, what you did wrong, what you learned, where are your weaknesses, and then use that to not only build your knowledge base and your skill set, but how can you strive to improve yourself? Create a framework. Develop a repeatable system others can follow. If you can start laying the foundation now, you'll have a fully built platform when it's time to transition. That could be sooner than you think. Design a personal brand around your legacy. In today's world, having a strong, authentic brand can open doors long before you transition. And this isn't about becoming an influencer. It's about making sure your expertise and your experience are visible to the right people. Start small. Regularly share your insights on LinkedIn, in a blog, or even within your organization. But be authentic. Your personal brand should reflect who you are. Define you and your mission and stay true to it. Yes, it should grow and evolve, but someone should be able to look back from your beginning to the present and see the same core ethos, not you hopscotching all over the place. Commit and be consistent. Even if you only post once a month, long-term consistency builds credibility. Remember, many veterans and first responders struggle because we don't think about what comes next until it was already happening to us. A legacy project solves that problem by giving you something to build before you need it. It keeps you engaged and growing during the remainder of your career. It ensures you're not starting from scratch when your transition comes. And it lets you create something bigger than yourself, something that lasts beyond your service. Bottom line, your transition isn't the end of your impact. It's just the start of your next mission. And the best way to make sure that the next mission is on your terms is to start building it today. Sponsorship for this podcast comes from Brothers in Arms USA. They're a veteran-owned and operated clothing and accessories brand that's 100% American-made. Every piece tells a story of brotherhood, respect, discipline, and honor. Deeply inspired by those who served, those who have served, and those who have paid the ultimate price serving our great country. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, a proud patriot, or simply somebody who values high-quality American craftsmanship, they've got something for you. Go check out brothersinarms.com, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com, and use the promo code TRANSITION20 to get 20% off your purchase. No matter where you are in your transition journey, whether you're stepping out soon, planning a few years ahead, or thinking about the long game, success isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating momentum, taking action, and setting yourself up for what's next. Close range group. Replace motivation with momentum. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. If you want progress, you have to move, whether you feel motivated or not. Action comes first and motivation follows. Medium range group. The 5-minute rule. Transition isn't something you figure out all at once. It's built in small, consistent steps. 5 minutes today, 5 minutes tomorrow. That's how you go from uncertainty to confidence, from hesitation to readiness. Long range group. Develop a legacy project. The best transitions happen when you're not just walking away from something, but stepping into something bigger. Start now. Build something that lasts and that extends beyond the job. Thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out. either on social media or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. All the links are in the show notes. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcast. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings the podcast gets, the more the podcast gets recommended to people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. Also, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And remember, you won't always feel motivated, and you won't always have a clear path, but standing still isn't an option, because whether you see it or not, transition is on the horizon. And when it arrives, the ones who succeed will be those who embrace the discipline of motivation.